Making sure it's actually live. Alright, it says I'm live.
Beautiful.
Alright, everybody, this is episode 6 of Ursine Combo Lab Audio, and today we're going to be talking about comeback mechanics. And I'm here with Ciano, a regular, and myself.
Hey everybody, I'm Ciano. You know me. What's going on?
Comeback mechanics, should they exist in the first place? I think we should start there.
Should they exist? Well, as a sort of like not great player, I'll say that I do like the idea. The limitation, of course, is they're always used against you by better players. Even though the idea is it might balance out the person getting beat on. In order to win, you have to put them into that get beat on zone also. So it evens out. The better player can take advantage of that and kick the shit out of you with it anyway. So I prefer if it's scaled down a little bit. If it's more like a tool that changes the game, but not necessarily oh hey, now you get access to new combos and everything.
But isn't that the same thing as a tool that changes the game? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so to me the elephant in the room is like V trigger and SF5, right? So that just gives you more stuff. It doesn't change the game. It just gives you a bunch of really good stuff that it's like on a timer or limited use or something like that. So to me it doesn't make you play any differently really. It just like it gives you something that's way better that you can use to and you will use it because it's on a timer, right? You know what I mean?
I actually disagree. I think it warps the game completely. Like if you have V trigger activation, it makes things safe. You can be plus, that what's normally not plus becomes plus. You can get easiest hit confirms of your life. It's free. I think V trigger is a bad example of it's a bad comeback mechanic because it fundamentally changes the game. It's not just I'm playing the same game. It's I'm playing an entirely different game. Neutral becomes warped once you have V trigger, and that's just the activation. We're not even talking about the actual V trigger itself, because some like you said, V trigger, the actual V trigger itself could be actually crazy and also warp the game. But I feel just V trigger activation warps the game entirely, especially for the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, so the way in is always a bit problematic. I mean, the V trigger, well, before we go too specifically, I guess I would just say it feels bad to lose against, and it doesn't feel like it helps a bad player, right? It's not actually an RNG.
I'm a bad player. Okay, here, let's talk about V trigger for jury, V trigger 2. I'm a bad player, and it gives me wins all the time. I just spam stand medium kick, get the 2 hit. It's a 2 hitting move, right? Super fast, 3 frames, right? I get to see visually confirm the 2 hits, and then I just put V trigger, and then I get a full combo and knockdown. And if I have super, get the super as well. It's free. It's actually just so free. And I'm a bad player. I'm just abusing a very good normal and V trigger activation, and it's okay. It's the same for V trigger 1 too, but I'm bad, right? So I use V trigger 2.
So you're saying you are able to steal wins, but I mean, but do you like it though?
It feels good. It feels good. They should have known. I have V trigger. So that's the hard one. But it works just the same. Stand medium kick, busted move. Just it's so good. That's just so good. It's so easy to hit confirm, and then you just pop V trigger, and it's over for them. So that's what I would say is a bad comeback mechanic. It warps neutral, and it's very easy to use. Just warps the game. You're not playing Street Fighter anymore. You're playing let me get this hit and then get a free confirm.
Wait, so do you like it or you don't like it?
I don't like it, but I get wins with it. So you see the dichotomy?
I see. All right. So you appreciate it sometimes.
Well, because I'm bad, right? And it's a
Mhm.
comeback mechanic. Comeback mechanics favor bad people. So if I'm losing neutral a bunch, right? But then I build V trigger because I'm losing neutral,
So
right?
I would say though I don't think it favors bad people. Like they have their V trigger too. Like
True, true.
they can smash you when if you manage to come back a little bit.
I guess it could be it's abusable by everybody, right? But I feel
Mhm.
like, you
I mean,
know,
most of the mechanics that we'll mention today are pretty mild, right? V trigger is the kind where you can kill someone when you get it. Like it's possible to suddenly do like 60-70% of damage and just destroy the other person and mix them to death, right? Most
yes.
combat mechanics aren't quite like that, or it's you have to really try hard. Whereas it's typical in this game for someone to pop V trigger and close out the round. That's like a normal round.
Yeah, I'd say that like the concept of V trigger in Street Fighter Five is similar to like having super, like just like having super, but like it's even better than just having super, right? Because like if you have super and your opponent knows you have super, they're like worried about it, right? It might be like it's on their stack of the brain, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like V trigger is just like an easier super.
Yeah.
You
Well,
get it for
it's also
free.
like it's easy to like block or deal with super, right? It's easy to
You can
account
punish
for it.
super if you like
You
if
can
you get
punish
the
it.
read right, but you can't punish V trigger activation. Like in my
Yeah,
opinion, there
there's
are
nothing
some
you can
ways.
do.
There are some ways to do it, but they're like super niche, and you have to like really look for them.
You can spend your resources to get back to neutral,
Yeah. Oh,
which
Big
is
Monkey has joined.
a tough
Welcome, Big
situation.
Monkey.
Big
Hello.
Monkey, do you enjoy comeback mechanisms?
Oh, Sarah the Hero has also joined. We got a squad of
Uh,
4.
Hey, squad.
yo.
I just hopped
Yo,
on.
buddy.
What
Do,
topic you guys want to
do you guys enjoy comeback mechanisms?
Yeah, do you think they should exist? Yeah, let's start with these two. Oh,
So-
Sarah, you're a bit low.
Oh,
Oh no, you're good now.
Is that
Just
better?
Earlier. Yeah, yeah.
okay. I guess it really depends on like what you define as a comeback mechanic. But
Oh yeah, how should we define it? What is it? It's like something you gain when you're losing, or like you're in a losing state. Something you get as you're losing. Should we just
I'd say loosely it's that. It's something where you get it for getting hit or losing resources or losing somehow.
yeah, I think that's a pretty like decent definition. But Alex Valle at one point he mentioned that and he just mentioned it very like briefly. He's like, he's like the thing about third strike, and he was like blah blah blah, and then he's like the comeback mechanic parry is like blah blah blah, and I was like what? I was like how's that a comeback mechanic? And he was I think he mentioned something about how like in Street Fighter 2, for example, if you're being checkmated by like a super or a fireball, you're done. Like you're in that position and you can't get out. But in third strike, you can parry it.
That's not
So
coming back. That's a living mechanic.
it isn't Sparking Blast and also a living mechanic
No, because you get hella fucking damage and speed.
and health.
And yeah, so it's all those things, but it's not really a comeback mechanic.
Well, actually, you don't think Sparkling Glass is a comeback mechanic?
No,
Or
that is
parry?
definitely is. I'm saying the parry is not.
Let me ask you this then: do you think not dying to chip damage in Street Fighter 5 is a comeback mechanic? Because I definitely think that's the case.
Oh, chip damage, but you can
It's
die
not
to
a.
chip damage.
It's not a
from
comeback
exactly.
mechanic.
But wait, how's it not? You get like basically free life. Like the entire round, you get taking chip damage, but all of a sudden you don't. That's not a comeback mechanic to you?
All right, it's a very mild one under that definition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Very mild.
Like obviously parry isn't like sparking where you have to
Well, are you saying like that like defensive things should be like forced or like consistent throughout the entire match for it not to be a comeback mechanic? For example, like chip not killing, but you can still take chip damage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess um, I guess I kind of see it as different like degrees of like quote comeback mechanic, because I think I mentioned this like a long time ago to to Gottfried and Carlo or Karushi and Zenryoku that I also consider stun a comeback mechanic, but it's one that you have to earn. Like obviously if you're down and then you like get some like let's say you have 10% health versus somebody that's about to perfect you, like if you get some decent hits, you'll get a stun, which will give you like more free damage. Whereas if it didn't have stun, you know, they would be a little more of a quote honest comeback. So stun, I also consider a comeback mechanic. Granted, it's one that you earn. You can't just like, you know, pop V trigger or X factor or whatever. So I think there's different like levels to it. But to answer your question before,
Yeah, I disagree with that because you have access to stun on both sides. You can win the entire game with stun and not
hey,
get hit at all.
I got news for you. On X factor, both characters can use it. On V trigger, both characters can use it.
True.
Yeah, but exactly. So X Factor, if it didn't change when you went down to one character, would not be a comeback mechanic. No way. That's like saying Super is a comeback mechanic. Super is not a comeback mechanic. No way. That's a resource.
Actually, some people would disagree with you because when you take damage, you build super meter.
Yeah, that's true. But you also get a lot more for dealing damage.
Do you get
almost
more for
every
dealing
game? You
damage?
get more.
Yeah,
the only
for
exception
most
is like
part.
Sam Show.
Well, Samsho it's like different because it's rage.
Yeah.
So like the word like if you get hit, you get angrier, right? Supposedly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure, makes sense.
But I mean, you're still getting rewarded for getting hit, right? So isn't that what you kind of defined as a comeback mechanic?
Well, yeah, I suppose. I feel like it doesn't work. Well, I guess it
That's
does
like
work.
that's like saying losing life is a comeback mechanic.
I mean, losing life and
Well,
nothing happening—that's not a comeback mechanic. Losing life and getting
okay,
meter.
okay.
You know, you're
What
closer to the
game-
next round.
Alright.
Something happens. You're close to the next round where you could win.
And where you can come back is what you're saying.
Yeah,
but,
you're gonna come
sorry,
back in the next
I'm
round.
kind of like sidetracked from what you were asking me. I think that the more tools you have, the better. And then like it shouldn't be. Let's see. It shouldn't be that your tools should like, for example, V trigger. Like it should just be a tool that you have. You know what I mean? It shouldn't get better as like you take more damage. Like for example, Street Fighter 6, you start off with like your entire what is it called, overdrive or whatever.
Drive bar.
Yeah, that's the one. So that's not really like. I mean, I don't really
I
know.
like that change a lot. So
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
excited for that.
Yeah, that's
I
really
definitely
cool.
like that a lot. But yeah, I think just the more tools you have, the better. And maybe something like something like Guts in Guilty Gear. I think that's like fair enough, I guess, because it's
Not a
basically
comeback
just kind of like,
mechanic.
dude. Yes, it is. Oh my god. you're right.
No way. Because
Yes, it
you have
is.
access to the same amount of life, your entire life bar.
No, that is definitely not true. So check this out. I believe there's a health or a time and point or a point in your health bar where a barrel like here in Street Fighter 5 will try to kill you before your guts kick in. So you definitely have less health then as opposed to
Okay.
if to do
All
it
right.
afterwards.
So it's another like if
It's like a
they're on the
checkpoint
last,
system.
Yeah, something like
You
that.
have less
It's
health at
between
the
hit
beginning.
points.
Right, yeah. So
420
it's
and 410 or whatever.
Okay, wait,
yeah,
wait. So
so go ahead.
here's like a really like a specific example for Guts, but Slayer and Nago, right? They both have super high Guts, and their command grab, right? They get health from it, but on this like, they get the same health every single time. So if they're lower in health, then they get more effective health from their command grab than if they had higher health.
Oh, is that because
so-
of Hellfire or whatever it's called?
No. That's just how their characters work. So you
Oh, I
you
see what
get
you're
how
saying.
Guts work, right?
Right,
Guts
yeah.
works. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when they're at lower health and they gain that same exact amount of health from command grab, then when
Yeah, the
they're
health is
lower
worth
in life,
more,
it's
basically,
more
Yeah.
worth. Yeah.
Oh, I see
So-
what you're saying.
Are Slayers and Nagoriyuki's command grabs a comeback mechanic?
True. It gets
That's-
better as they're losing.
That's what I wanted to get. That's the issue. There's all kinds of things where like you get hit and it helps you or whatever. But in my opinion, like if you want to call these things a comeback mechanic, then the term has no meaning. Then you're saying like EX moves are a comeback mechanic. That's just stupid.
What? I don't know about that one. Like Guts versus EX moves, I think those are completely
You get
different.
hit and you get EX, and then you can do you know, a EXDP. That's comeback mechanic, isn't it? You can't do EXDP to do reversal Oki if you don't get knocked down.
I mean, honestly, you could do a standing EXDP. So that's your point. Doesn't really
You could, but it's
make
much
sense.
easier to
But
do it
yeah,
from
I mean, to say that guts isn't a comeback mechanic at all, why then just remove it from the game and make everyone's health normalized?
Okay, let's talk about a
They
game.
should.
What game doesn't have any comeback mechanics? Like,
We should go through them now, yeah.
Honestly, I have a very loose definition of comeback mechanic, so
Yeah, every
Okay,
game
the
has
least-
health, which
the
is
least
apparently a
amount.
comeback mechanic.
I would say probably.
We found like
Fighter
little
2
tiny
before you
ones
get
for
Super
almost
Bar.
every game, but
oh, Street Fighter 2 before. Yeah, that's a good example. Like,
Yeah.
just
I think 2
raw
really
Street
doesn't.
Fighter 2.
Yeah, like no super bar where you get meter for getting hit. Which, granted, I mean, it's not as much as the person that is
No,
doing the
even-
hitting is.
even UGM with Super Bar, it's fine. It's not. It really doesn't have comeback mechanics.
Strike if you're not Alex Valle.
Yeah, basically. See, that's the thing. Like, it just kind of like depends on, what your perception is of it. But to say like something is or isn't a comeback mechanic is kind of like, I think a little too binary in my opinion.
Yeah, but you've made a superset where everything's a comeback mechanic. Every mechanic is a comeback.
No,
mechanic.
that's not. So if there was Street Fighter 2 with no super bar and no stun, then that game has no comeback mechanic.
Look, so I feel like comeback mechanic in like your definition would be like things have to remain consistent throughout like the entire. Nothing changes. Like the initial state of the game and the end state of the game, all the values are all the same.
Okay, I think we should. I think we should first go into what has like a definitive comeback mechanic.
Oh,
right?
I think like
Tekken 7's Rage.
yeah, Street
That
Fighter
is
5
the poster
Trigger,
child of
Marvel 3 X Factor.
controversial.
So
Yeah.
Tekken 7, of course, when you get below, what is it, 20% health, Big Monkey?
Something like that.
You do more damage and you get access to 2 moves, right?
hmm Rage Drive, Rage Art, and if you're privileged DLC character, then sometimes another Rage Art.
Nice.
And Street Fighter 4 Ultra, I think, is the
Yeah.
Right, that's the
one we're
classic
probably all
one.
familiar with.
A bar that only fills when you take damage and gives you a extra super.
Revenge Bar.
And it does even more damage as you take more damage yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you could also get it from gray damage, but it's still
Mhm.
damage. I just wanted to make that distinction.
Street Fighter 5 has V Trigger, of course, which gives you a bunch of new abilities.
Yeah, we're seeing
That's like
a
a very-
Urian wall of plus. Here.
Yeah, seriously.
It's my turn forever as long as this exists. That's that, and then I get a throw combo after that too. So
Oh, So maybe I missed it, but now that I told you guys what my opinion is, what do you guys think in terms of like comeback?
oh, we should
comeback-
talk about Big Monkey. Do you think comeback mechanics? Like, what do you think? We'll get. You got.
Well, my first experience with fighting game was Tekken, right? And in that game, comeback mechanics are a very real consideration. I think the first thing you learn as you're booted into this game with no tutorial, no implication as to what anything works is rage arts, right?
Don't press into Rage Art.
Exactly. They're big, they're flashy. They're
They got armor, don't they? Don't they have armor?
They have 1 hit of armor, yeah, which also
free.
reduces 75% of the damage that they take during it. And it'll range from doing anywhere from 55 damage to some really big number. I don't know. But, like, I think the biggest dread is getting hit by a wake of rage art. Your, like, move that was supposed to hit them is not killing them. And
Now
they're
they
left
have
with 1
rage?
pixel. Yeah. But, I don't really enjoy them. I think rage drives are really cool. Rage arts are obviously just like a little marketing ploy to get people to think this game is flashier. So I'm kind of like on the left side of neutral. You know what I mean? Like I don't like them, but I don't
Not a
hate them.
huge fan.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you think like if Rage Art was like you could just do it at the very beginning, but like only once, for example, Like that would be better, like in Tekken or something.
That'd be better, but I would really like it if there are no rage arts in Tekken.
What about? Let me ask you this then, Big Monkey, as the local resident expert, I guess, for Tekken, because I don't think any of us played that much.
Nope.
So it's you by default. But anywho, so in Mortal Kombat, if you use your super, you lose it for the rest of the round. So I mean for the whole set or whatever. So what do you think if Tekken was like that? Like if you had it from the beginning and you only had like one of them and you had to like make it count.
Well, the thing about that is that there's already a move like that in Tekken. There's a
the
singular
cane, right?
move. Yeah, Leroy's Pimp Cane. You can only use it once per like match, and you can use it at any time. But
That's
once you
true.
use
So it could exist already.
Yeah,
So what would you
thing
think
is-
if rage arts were like that?
I don't know. I wouldn't like to have to consider rage arts throughout the entire round. You know?
I see.
Should have played Tekken 6, buddy. I'm just kidding. I actually don't even know if they had them.
I mean, people
They didn't have
famously hated that fucking cane, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
Because it was good, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it
it's
gave you like a
super
launch
big
and had armor and
range.
stuff or whatever.
It didn't have armor, but it was plus on release. It's -7 now.
I think that's really the crux of the thing. Is if the comeback mechanic is good, if it gives you Aegis or rage arts or something, or like if it gives you Geese touch of death combos,
Goose.
then it's like, okay, this is kind of fucked up. But if the comeback mechanic is sort of mild, then I don't think anyone cares.
So I got another. Oh, I don't know if there's something else that you guys were considering, but I heard a hot take a while back from none other than Mr. Combo Fiend himself that I thought made sense, but a lot of people are kind of hesitant about it. So at one point he said that, what was it? I think it was somewhere like in Brazil, and they were all hating
the
like on a
big guy.
character. It was a Marvel tournament. They were hating on a Zero player. Then he's like, instead of complaining, why don't you guys just pick Zero? So basically, his point was, like, if a comeback mechanic is broken, then you shouldn't really. Well, I don't know if you shouldn't complain about it, but you guys both have access to it, so what's the big deal?
So if
So
you
what
want
do you
to
guys-
get like if you're playing competitively, I agree with that. But if you're like you're a normal person,
Right,
I
yeah.
disagree with that heavily.
Yeah,
So I'll say there's one game we left out, which is like DNF.
Ooh, yes, good. That's
Oh, yeah. That was
Awakening.
right.
Oh,
Awakening, which really like changes the game. It gives you like a flat 200 damage combo ender. It like often gives you like some bonus. If you're in it, it means you have access to 200 mana for your touch death combo. So like that's a mechanic where you might not both have access to it, right?
Yeah,
Wait,
sometimes.
wait, not all characters have access to
No,
it?
No,
they
they-
do, but like you need to be at a certain health range.
Oh,
I think
see,
it's 20% again.
That's where the kind of, I think you talked about that also. That's where kind of like the strategy comes into play. Like, you don't want to give them the opportunity to
Yeah.
It's like in Tekken, for example. Like, if you kill them right before they get their rage art, like what Big Monkey was saying, then you outplayed them, right? Because, I mean, you didn't give them an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like that either. It's just like a comeback mechanic feels a little.
Yeah, it's like dropping a combo like we're just before 20%, so they don't have access to it, right? And then just doing a killing combo after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I-
I don't think people usually consider that either, but it's just like you don't. It doesn't feel good to lose to a comeback mechanic
Yeah, definitely not.
so hard that you didn't get access to your own one. You know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like what the probably what makes people like the saltiest. Yeah. Wait, did you guys?
I have a question for you guys. If that's the case, like for example, in Fighter Z, right? Like they added some update a year ago or 2 years ago. They made it so that your last character gets like a huge damage buff, and their sparkling blast lasts like a giga long time.
Yeah.
Like, is there a situation where you would like leave a second character alive at like low health and then like force in the other character? Like, there's no situation where that would happen, right? Because you'd rather.
Those games are just too deadly. I don't think you can ever do that.
Well,
it's like-
if I understand your, sorry, go ahead, Big Monkey.
Yeah, that's what I like. I'm just agreeing with what Sina said. Like, you're just gonna kill them anyways, right?
Well, no, because I mean, I think in Dragon Ball that's actually probably the case, but I think in like versus games, there's usually characters that benefit more from stuff like that, aka anchor characters. So there is times where you'd want to snap into the second guy, and then, you let the big old grappler get like the boost because you could just run circles around him, right? Or like zone him out and stuff like that.
Oh, I see. Instead of going for the kill.
Yeah, so there is kind of like counterplay to that.
Could you explain the Spark and X Factor real quick, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So in Marvel 3, and just in case you've never like heard of it for whatever reason, shame on you. But everybody gets access to what's called X Factor, and you only get one per round. And then it's interesting how they do it because every character gets a 100% boost, and then depending on the character, they either get like 50% strength, 50% speed. I think Hulk gets 100% strength and like 0% speed boost. So that kind of also, makes Hulk not so dangerous in X Factor. Obviously, if it hits you, then you're toast. But if you can run away from him, then who cares? But anywho, and it lasts longer the less characters you have. So on your last character, you last the longest, obviously. And it prevents chip death, and it also regenerates your red health. And the exact same thing applies to sparking and DBFZ, except in DBFZ you get a little bit of a burst, but it's not really a burst because you can only do it in like block stun. You can't do it while you're getting hit. And in DBFZ it gives you better movement options, like you can jump cancel all your normals regardless if they're blocked or not, as well as I think they just each character gets a flat damage and speed boost.
The damage, but no speed boost. I don't think, just the damage. Though.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure actually. I'm not too familiar with DBFZ. I mostly just played in Season 1 and then a little bit in Season 3. But yeah, and then also, I should also mention there's kind of like counterplay to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Granted, like, you kind of have to hard read it. In Marvel 3, if you melee them with a medium on their incoming, and if they X Factor, you get a free grab just like that. And if you're ready for it, then, you just kind of... The fact that they use like their comeback mechanic, or is like so predictable that they used it, that was to your benefit. So I guess in terms of like reading your opponent, if they're like very very hungry for it, then it kind of is to their detriment because you're gonna get the read on them. Like I'm sure Cyano, that if you have like a Bison that's like low health and he has V trigger, the first thing he's gonna go for, right?
He's gonna go for that slide, baby.
Exactly, yeah, slide activate. So stuff like that you can kind of play around.
Yeah,
granted, at the higher levels, like they know you're looking for that, so they're not going to do it, or they're going to try to, change up their timing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in that regard, it kind of makes it a little more predictable. But anyway, I kind of went off a little bit on a tangent, but that's pretty much like the basics of X Factor / Sparking Blast.
There's nothing in Skullgirls, right?
No, I don't believe there is actually. We could have swing meets, but I don't believe I've heard any sort of comeback thing about it.
2 out of 3. Tag fighters have a pretty cracked out comeback mechanic.
Right, yeah. Because it was also based off of Marvel 2, which I don't believe has one. There might
I don't think it does, yeah.
There might be some stuff like under the hood.
Yeah, system mechanic.
Yeah, I think in like Alpha, was it 2 or 3? You get like a little bit of a damage boost or something like that. They didn't find out about it until years later, but it might have something like that. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's any sort of comeback mechanic on it.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. Why do you think comeback mechanics exist? Why did they even put them there in the first place?
Honestly, it's in my opinion, it's kind of to create artificial hype. Just because, like Moment 37, for example, which I don't really agree with Vi that much, that parry's a comeback mechanic. Although I understand his argument for if you're about to be chipped to death, then you should just be dead because you put yourself in that situation, or you got in that situation, I should say. But yeah, and then also Marvel 2, like all of Justin Wong's comeback and stuff. So that's why I think they mostly added it, and probably also just to give the newbies a chance. I guess just because they're getting their ass kicked, it's kind of sucks. But hey, now at least I can do try to go for this cool thing. Granted, I think in most cases that having that comeback mechanic is usually not going to win you the round if you're playing someone that's just that much better than you.
Yeah, Sienna was mentioning this earlier, but he said that like the comeback mechanics just help the better players more actually.
In my
Yeah,
opinion,
I can see that. I don't disagree with that. Well, it's a case by case thing too, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of going back to what I was saying earlier. Both characters have access to it. You know, they both have the same character select screen. They both have the same like, you know, in the case of versus games, assist options, and they both have the same screen, same options. So you know, it's fair. TM.
Yeah, artificial height.
that's a good point. That probably is. I mean, if you think about really, it kind of started with USF4, or I mean, just Street Fighter 4. Like, it's a really cinematic comeback mechanic too. It's more cinematic than the Super. The Super is like straight out of Street Fighter 2 usually.
Yeah.
You know, there's no camera change. But in SF4, they're like, we figure out how to move the camera. There's this whole cutscene that plays. You know,
Figure out camera. Yeah.
if you get the damage out without the cutscene, you're like, oh man, not good enough.
And I guess another thing that I just thought of right now is you can use Ultra. Well, I don't. Well, I guess that was kind of what I was talking about before. How you can use it to your benefit. The fact that there's a comeback mechanic. As I mentioned before, you can get it from gray damage, which in Street Fighter 5 you get it from blocking, what is it, mediums and heavies. In Street Fighter 4 you get gray damage from focusing stuff. So if you're getting zoned out, you can just focus the fireballs and you'll build your quote comeback mechanic. So it's not always like, you know, used that way, which I think that's how I like things to be, where it's versatile and you have a lot of options and stuff like that.
You know, thinking about now that you mention it as like artificial hype, like I wonder how. Like, do you think it like works as intended? If it were to be intended as artificial hype, do you think it actually does its goal? Like if that was its purpose?
So it's kind of a tricky question. Yes and no, because if you're like a super, like if you guys bring one of your like casual FPS buddies to like Evo, and then DBFZ comes on, and then Goku's last one, and he sparkings and he beats everybody, then they're like, oh, that's so cool. It was one character versus three, not knowing that there was a comeback mechanic, which made it a lot more plausible for them to make the comeback. But also, if somebody comes back without using the comeback mechanic, that still kind of serves its purpose because they did it like the old-fashioned way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess yes and no. Well, I guess technically no, because lack of having that as an option is like what would make it a hype comeback. But also, like for the newbies, it makes them hype because it's just cool to watch.
I would argue that it depends on how much you've seen it. Like any mechanic, if every time Cammy does V trigger into like spiral into DP into super, you just get sick of it. Like it doesn't matter if it's a good read each time or something like that. You're just like, it's just her kit. It's like she presses light punch, medium punch, and spiral into DP into super.
Scammy. Yeah, that's why I said like your more newbie friends that don't really play fighting games or anything, but they have like an interest in it.
But like I'd say in the same game, when Problem X won Evo, he was using Bison, who you don't see very often. He was doing all this, Shin Bison shit. It was really cool. It was stuff you don't really see very much, and it was just very cool. So yeah, in that instance, I think it is just sort of dependent on how much is it the main game layer, how much is it like the most important thing you learn on the character, and then how much is it something extra that can add spice.
Oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, yeah, that's a good point. I guess comeback mechanics could be like kind of like an avenue for kind of building a character off of. So they could be like really bad, and then wait, actually don't really know what Nakali's current state is, but for example, he gets unlimited V trigger.
Yeah.
So it could be that you kind of have to play around that, and then like once you like you're super low tier when you're starting off, but you kind of play around like your comeback mechanic, and then you quote unquote earned it. So now you start kicking ass, and like the biggest kind of culprit of that I think would probably be like Dark Phoenix, for example. Who has like I think the lowest health in the game. I think maybe tied with Strider. She's not really that bad of a character, but she has like paper health. But then you get your Dark Phoenix, and then if you still have X Factor, you pop that, then she's like easily the best character in the game.
Almost every one of these comeback mechanics, you can like all the Street Fighter comeback mechanics, you can actually get them by doing something in the game that's not getting hit. You could actually get them by still being offensive, like in Street Fighter. If you hit with V skill, right, you get
that's
V
true,
trigger, and then like you said, focus attack. But like that one, you actually have to lose two of your characters to get access to Dark Phoenix. Like you can't have Dark Phoenix and still have like 2 assists. You know what I mean?
No, that's actually false. You can have that.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry. I should have explained. And I also consider this a comeback. I consider Dark Phoenix a comeback mechanic. Oh, yeah. I definitely consider it just because you kind of have to play around it. But the way Dark Phoenix works is if she, regardless of how many characters you have left, if she dies and you have 5 bars, which is the most you can have in that game, then she'll revive as Dark Phoenix. And actually, some of like
that's resources. You get that for winning.
yeah, and some players actually kind of work around that. Like they'll just build bar, and then they'll put in Dark Phoenix, and then let her get killed, and then tag out, and then they don't have to worry about saving bar and stuff. So it's kind of like a strategy. But yeah, I was more so talking about stuff like where you kind of make that like part of the character, or maybe even like a balance parameter, if you will, which gives you more options, which I'm always down for.
I see what you're saying. They're saying they curve late. You don't necessarily have to be losing to use her, and in fact, you kind of have to win to use her, right?
Yeah, I would argue that, yes.
Yeah.
And actually, there's just as like a side tidbit, there's characters. Well, I know a character that actually gets worse the more they get beaten up, and that's Arya from Killer Instinct.
Oh.
Because in that game you have 2 health bars, like a standard character, but Arya has 3, and that's because she has 3 body parts. And if you have all 3 alive, you can call the other 2 as kind of like mini assists. But if she loses one, I think she has like, obviously she gets more instinct meter, which is the V trigger meter in Street Fighter 5 equivalent. She gets more of that meter, but she loses more options. So I guess in that, that could also kind of be like a balancing thing where, I guess it's not really a comeback mechanic, but it just.
So Joe, should everyone be Arya? Is that the actual fair mechanic?
Honestly, I think that's probably where Street Fighter 6 is going, because like you started with all your meter, right, and then from there you kind of have to.
Yeah,
obviously, you're probably.
I actually like that.
Yeah,
like,
I also
you
like
lose
that a lot.
something. You should always lose something if you gain something, in my opinion.
Yeah,
to make
I
it
definitely
like
agree.
feel not trash.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of having like a bunch of different resources and options and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about like this. You're talking about like ramping up as like like comeback mechanics is like you're kind of like building towards something. It always like I don't know about you guys, but like the building towards something and then like just losing when that thing is built is like honestly one of the worst ways to lose a game. It's like the worst feeling. Like
dying with V trigger on, I think, is a common example of that.
Yeah.
Like you're playing the game and you like they have like some end game that they're gonna get to unless you do like something, and then it's like can I win the game before they get their end game thing.
Yeah, their
comeback.
Their win condition, basically.
Yeah, win condition, basically. Yeah. It's like, and it's like on top of your stack, right? It's like something that you have to think about. Where normally, like you're already playing a fighting game, so you're already thinking a lot. Unfortunately, right? Your brain is on.
Unfortunately.
So like. You're playing a fighting game. Some people don't have. They play fighting games without their brain on, and that's okay too. But it's just another thing to think about. I'm like, oh yes, this they're gonna get rage, and then they're gonna do 70% in one combo for for Tekken example. I see like a lot of clips where like they get into rage and they get that one hit, and then they just do like 70%. It's like, okay, bruh,
Yeah, definitely.
Just waiting for the one hit.
Dude, what is this Blanca skin?
It's the best Blanca skin.
Yeah.
It's a comeback mechanic. It's you choose the skin and you win. So you just
costumes are a comeback mechanic.
So let me ask you guys a question. Is there a game that you guys, in your opinion, has like a balanced, quote unquote, or fair comeback mechanic, or
I
one
want to
that you
talk
don't
about
really mind?
Garo. I want to fucking talk about Garo.
Yes, please. I don't know anything about it personally, so definitely feel
Okay.
free to let me in.
Yeah, so here's this. There's like a comeback mechanic, right? At 1/3 of your health,
Okay.
you get increased damage. Like
hang
a
on,
move
sorry,
that you can.
I didn't mean to interrupt you,
You
but
could set that
Cyano,
to be the top third.
No, that's what I'm getting into, right?
someone
Like,
in the text chat agrees that Guts in Guilty Gear is a comeback mechanic. Hold that. Anywho, go ahead, Monkey.
you can
Or
see
costume changes.
so you get increased damage. You can use a move that you normally can't use when you're not in this amount of health.
Oh, sorry, quick
And-
question. Do you have to like activate anything, or is it just automatic when you get to the health
No.
range?
Here's the catch, right?
Okay.
In the character select screen, you choose which third of the health bar you want it to be in.
Oh, I like that. I
So
would consider that a
sometimes-
comeback mechanic then.
Right, no, but if you put it at the bottom third of your health bar, it's kind of hard to say it's not a comeback mechanic, right?
Well, no, because like you kind of like chose that. You know what I mean? Like if somebody,
but it's
so
you chose it to be a comeback mechanic.
I mean, I guess so. But what if your
Not always
opponent does it like in the first third of it? Then does he start off with his comeback mechanic?
Yep, yeah. He starts
Then
off
that's
in
not a
state.
comeback mechanic.
Yeah, I agree. I actually
No,
don't
but
think
it
that's
be-
a comeback.
Be one.
Yeah, it becomes one if you put it like later.
Yeah,
in the-
I think that's pretty balanced, right?
But why is it
Good way to
better for
handle
you to
it.
have it later?
Yeah.
Well, it gives you the option, right? I guess like
It's an
it
option, but
can
it's not
become
better.
a
It's not
comeback.
better though. So it's not about coming back.
It could be better though if you're a grappler player.
Yeah, but that's just kind of like how you kind of kit your character, right? Like for I can't think of any any examples that are similar to that, but yeah, I wouldn't agree that that's a comeback mechanic just because you can start off with it and you kind of like choose your fate basically when you choose your character. But sorry, go ahead. You can go ahead and finish the rest of it. Sorry for interrupting so much.
I mean, I just wanted to introduce that into the little.
Oh, gotcha. Then
conversation,
yeah,
'cause I just remembered about it, but I think it could still be considered a comeback mechanic. Right?
I would agree that like you can put it in the end and have it be kind of like pseudo comeback mechanic, but it doesn't activate when you're losing a lot. Is kind of like what I'm trying to get at. I personally wouldn't count as one, but you can kind of like set it as one, like quote unquote.
So would we argue that like comeback mechanic, like it's just in the word, right? It has to. Something has to happen when you're losing, right?
Yeah, something beneficial.
Well, I would specifically you guys may not agree with me, but like in my opinion, something like Guts doesn't really help you win the round. It might give you like a little bit of survival, and a lot of the mechanics we've like kind of talked about is like maybe is they don't let you, if you're getting the shit beaten out of you, they won't turn the tables. So in my
it
mind,
won't
a
turn the
true
tables, but
comeback mechanic is
help.
something where you can turn the tables.
It'll help you.
It'll help you the same way like landing a medium might help you.
Oh, okay,
No,
so
I don't
like,
know
are
if
you
that
saying
one's worth that much.
that like the comeback mechanic has to be offensive in nature for it to be like really a comeback mechanic?
It doesn't have to be offensive. Like if Q's taunts were something that he only got access to at like half
But
health.
that's
or
like
something
guts
that.
though. Q taunt
Yeah.
is guts, literally.
And he doesn't. Even, you don't even have to
But
do
Guts
anything. It just
doesn't
activates.
give you that much health, and it's always there. Like you have to go through that health. What you're actually talking about, the difference between whether Balrog can kill you at this health or that health, is like 20 hit points.
Yeah, but that's still I mean, you're still getting like more effective
that's-
health for it.
But that's
Granted,
such
it's
a
not
tiny
like
little
it's-
difference.
Yeah,
that
but that's still a
jab
comeback
gets
mechanic.
rid of it.
Not everything has to be
that's
like
a comeback
X factor.
mechanic that gives you an extra jab of health.
Dude, sometimes that's all you need, man.
Yeah, but you might have won anyway without it. Like,
I
if
mean,
the jab
maybe,
is the
but
difference.
every game is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you've made a difference in 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 games.
No,
But I think an actual like comeback mechanic. Not saying that I support them, but an actual one would be one where every time you hit it, it does make a difference. Like it does toss things back into the air. A table
What
turn.
about TJ combos? Instinct revival.
yeah, that's definitely a comeback mechanic, but it sucks. Okay, let me ask you something. In Tekken, when you get rage, do you get like a guts kind of thing, or is it just all strictly
Nope.
offensive?
It's all damage boost.
Ah,
Rage
okay.
art, rage drive.
But no, yeah, guts is definitely I would consider a comeback mechanic.
Guts is mostly just so you can't tell whether something will kill or not.
I mean, okay, unless you're Yoshimitsu and then you hit rage and then you heal your health bar all the way back up to full, you still have rage. But I'm not sure that's not what you're looking for.
I mean that's kind of what Sayano and I were talking about before. You can build V trigger in Street Fighter V without taking damage, and Ultra in Street Fighter 4 without also taking like real quote unquote damage. So in that case, I mean, I guess you wouldn't be using it as a comeback mechanic, right?
Yeah,
You get,
so
like, rage and then-
so like if you could build like this comeback mechanic without actually losing, is it considered a comeback mechanic anymore? Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess my answer would be that it is, but you didn't use it like one. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's satisfies you guys, but that's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
So it's like a hammer, but instead of me hitting a nail, I like I don't know what did
I hit
something
you
else
with it.
Yeah, so that one is kind of tricky. I'm not really sure how to. That was a good one. I wasn't sure how to do it.
I feel like yeah, that's hard. Like
Yeah, that one is tricky. We might have to leave that one to the
Yeah,
to the viewers.
to the audience. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
think about it, get some new idea. I don't know. I feel like.
But yeah, well, I was getting to that Tekken thing because you know how you can kill people before they get rage in Tekken.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what like EGP and Cross-Eyed are talking about in the voice text, because the Cross-Eyed was saying like, oh, why don't you just have them like, it would be the same as a health multiplier, which is not true because you get that quote unquote effect of health when you're low on life, and sometimes you can just explode and not get it at all.
So it's even worse than a comeback mechanic.
No, I mean if you didn't, it's better to have it and then or at least have access to it, right? Even though you might not always get to use it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Chip at full health versus like Chip at lower health, where he has like the highest guts, like on par with Potemkin or whatever, right?
Oh, I thought Chip had 0 guts.
Well, that's like he has like the worst guts at the beginning,
right, yeah.
But like when he loses more health, like his guts is really high.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Look, guts only kicks in when you're low.
When your health is low, I think, right?
He does have the worst guts, though, and he has the worst defensive multiplier.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
figured. And I think Anji has the best, right?
Yeah.
So it's Anji or Mei, but it's one of those.
Why May? That's fucked up.
It's because they're both Japanese. Don't.
Yeah,
don't
so Japanese.
Oh, is the lore related?
Or, yeah.
Racist, dude.
I see.
But the way to remember it is Chip was a cocaine addict once, and he hasn't really gotten over it. So
Damn, just tell the whole world, why don't you?
it's in the lore.
I've learned to not read about anime lore already, if I still want to play the games. So just
Fucking Blaze Blue lore, bro.
yourself
Okay, I have a question for you guys. In Sam Show, like, is rage like really a comeback mechanic? Like,
Is anything, dude? Okay, is anything a comeback mechanic in
Okay,
Sam
but
Show, bro?
I think it is. Like, if you lose your weapon, like the disarm with the disarm deflect, or if you don't have a weapon and you like deflect somebody, it disarms them as well. So you're both disarmed. Like, that's a comeback mechanic. Like, if like imagine a game of Sam Show where if you get disarmed and like they hit you with a normal, you just get cut in half, right? And like
Yeah,
there's no
I see. I
chance.
like that one because
Wait.
that's a way that you can flip the tables, right?
Wait, are you talking
You can
about?
take a really bad situation and make it a really good situation.
Are you talking about weapon flip technique?
No, like when you get disarmed, right? With
But
weapon,
you,
like
you got deflected, is what you're saying, right?
well, you
like, it's
can get
deflected and you got
disarmed by weapon flip technique or
Uh-huh.
being deflected when you did a heavy. Like your heavy got deflected, you get disarmed,
Right, yeah.
right? So like
Uh-huh.
when you're disarmed and you deflect, you can and they do a normal that's not low or not a jump in, then you disarm them as well. So you both become disarmed, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like like that comeback mechanic just evens the playing field versus like you getting like a huge advantage, right? Versus
I
something
mean-
like sparkling where like you do it and then you get like infinite damage, right?
Yeah, actually, that's kind of like what Valle would say, to be honest, because deflect is not something that you get access to when your health is low, as well as a weapon catch, which is deflect when you don't have any weapons. So I would say that that's a comeback mechanic, like how parry's a comeback mechanic. At least that's how I interpret it, because it could be like you said, like if you get weapon flipped and your weapons drop, then and you don't have weapon catch, for example, then that would mean weapon catch is a comeback mechanic because you kind of through your interactions you got disarmed, so that's kind of like on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like in Alex Vai's definition, you should just lose
Yeah.
right there, right?
Yeah, because you lost that interaction. I mean, you shouldn't lose. You gotta kind of weasel your way out, but weapon catch would kind of be a comeback mechanic, regardless of it being really difficult, and you have to do like a hard ass read, kind of like parries.
Yeah, yeah. But see, I feel like parry is like in third strike is like free, right? Versus like the disarm and like Sam shows, like if you get red, you're just gonna lose. How do you read like a parry in third strike? Like, is that even possible? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
no.
just people's patterns,
It's
like how they
tendency.
attack and stuff.
Well, it's like
It's just 6 frames, so you're not reading it.
I think
Maybe.
it's 10 something.
No,
like
it's
that.
6.
But is it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I thought it was 10 standing or like neutral, something like that. I don't know. But
You can't read 10.
if you're playing, for example, Dudley, and you throw the rose, and you know they're gonna parry it, then you can counter it by doing super, and they can't block the super. It's kind of dumb.
Well, yeah, but you could also do the same thing like in let's say Street Fighter 5, for example. Like if Bison's gonna slide if he has V trigger and he's still low in health, and if you use that to your advantage, then that's kind of like to your benefit, right? It's not really like a comeback mechanic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
okay, would you?
Yeah, it's still a comeback mechanic, but you can play around it.
Yeah, which is I think what Big Monkey was saying, right? Unless you're
Do you have a
something else.
favorite comeback mechanic, Big Monkey, other than Garo? Which is not a comeback mechanic?
Oh yeah, everybody say your favorite comeback mechanic.
That's a good question. Rage from Super Smash Brothers.
Honestly,
Oh no.
My favorite
Just because
comeback
it's cute.
mechanic is Isen from Sam Show.
Oh yeah, I like that. Actually, yeah, I was gonna say weapon flip, but I forgot that one's dependent on how much health you lost, right?
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
curious.
yeah, I'm also gonna say Isen. Isen's fucking sick. Is freaking sick.
Yeah, blocking Isen is the greatest feeling
Oh,
of my
yes.
entire life. Like, I'm like, yes, I absolutely put so much fear into you that you press the invincible reversal. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my favorite too. What about you guys, Big Monkey and Sayano?
I think my favorite one is the Neko arc.
Ooh. The RNG one where it gets the +3 or whatever.
Yeah, I've just
The
thought of the
manipulator?
exactly how it works, but you get like EX luck more often if you're in low health or something.
That's a
good
pretty good one.
That's a good one. I agree.
That's funny. I think
about you,
sparking in the tag fighters, even though I'm not a big tag fighter player, that to me is the platonic ideal of a comeback because it's hype, but it's also a resource that you can use whenever you want. So like it makes a difference if you hold it on later, but it's not just something that will automatically trigger at the 3/4 point of every match because it always makes sense.
Right.
It has other uses and
Oh, so like, would we have like the general conception that like if the comeback mechanic is like something you can control versus something that just happens inherently like within the game is like better?
right, if you can make a decision around it rather than it's just like, okay, now it's time to go into good mode.
Well, I don't know about that because X Factor's the same way. You can activate it round start.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
that's
saying.
still,
That's
like, the
what's
most-
interesting about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were saying it. Yeah, I think sparking's pretty cool. Honestly, I think sparking is more interesting than X Factor, just because it gives you more like movement options. So you have to kind of learn X Factor specific combos with basically every character. Whereas in Marvel, maybe there's like a handful of characters where you get a new route or two, but it's usually basically the same shit.
Oh yeah, like, you're talking about fighters, right? Fighter Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, that's about right. Like it's like a
feel like-
universal movement mechanic. Like gives you that extra a dash or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I kind of like about it. But I would say Esen's probably still my favorite because it looks tight.
So, like in theory, Street Fighter V Trigger should be cool because it like gives you access to these special moves.
Mhm.
But in almost every case, it was moves they took away from the fucking character in the earlier versions. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So you're like, finally, I'm playing a full
It makes
character.
you, I mean,
now
that's
I
also
got
kind of
beat
like
up enough.
that's kind of what I was saying before, right? Like it gives you like more access to stuff, right? Not just necessarily, you know, you just do more damage straight up.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
I think BlazBlue has a very minor version because you have
Oh,
an OD. It's kind of like Sparking 2, where you can use it round start to you press burst without getting hit to go into overdrive, but it just lasts longer if you've taken more health, and it changes everything about your kit. Like,
right. There's like OD specific combos, right?
yeah, there's OD specific combos, and you can do more if you have more OD, so you can creep your combo up, but still useful early on. It's like a really powerful defensive mechanic. So it's not even like you always save it till you're 3/4 health to do a reversal. It's not used like that at all.
Right.
So that makes it like way more interesting, just
I
because
think
it's a tool where you can do different things with it.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think in the earlier seasons of Dragon Ball, most people would do Spark just to save their point character because oftentimes their whole team alive with no Spark was more valuable than their anchor character with Spark.
yeah.
So I think if you can use it defensively like that, like what just Sayano was saying, then I like that too.
So like just purely defensive, or like okay, I guess
More versatility, I guess.
yeah.
should
So
say.
it could be like both offensive and defensive.
Mhm.
What do you guys know any of like purely defensive comeback mechanics besides like Guts? Guts is good an example of like a purely defensive.
Isn't Rage Explosion kind of purely defensive?
No,
no,
it's definitely not purely defensive.
Well, it gives you that super. I mean, the
I mean,
rushing
you can
super.
use Rage Explosion. I
Okay,
mean, I
okay,
guess just
okay,
Rage
okay.
Explosion by itself is technically, I guess, defensive, but you get access to Eason afterwards, so they're kind of. I consider those things kind of together. You know what I mean?
Okay, there's this character, Rin Shang or whatever, with the shield in Sam Show. Oh man.
Yeah.
Do
Oh,
not.
are you talking about the unblockable she has?
Unblockable into ground trap into you just
Oh,
dead
man.
100% like literally, and that's offensive. You can do it offensively. You set up the and there's like nothing they can do about it except Rage Explosion themselves, right? So,
Yeah.
Wait, is it the one with the gong?
Yes, that's her.
yeah.
I never figured her out, bro.
She's
just-
nasty, bruh. Nasty character. A lot of setups, a lot of trolling.
Oh yeah. Oh, and EGP.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it once it gets rolled back.
Oh, definitely.
I'm
do.
hyped. I'm hyped, bro. I'm hyped.
But EGP was saying in the text chat that no, not being able to die to chip is a purely defensive comeback mechanic.
Ooh.
That's true.
Which
Yeah.
I think that's
You know,
fair to say.
there's another one. Melty has that last arc when you're on your last round and you
Oh,
have
the 4 bars.
4 bars. Yeah, because
Oh
it doesn't.
yeah, that
you
is a
can-
comeback mechanic. Getting more bars because you lost the round.
That's true too.
Oh,
that's
we,
kind of
we
offensive,
can talk about
right?
like King of Fighters in that
Oh,
in the same
yeah,
Oh,
round,
it's
too.
true. Yeah.
Like is
So
okay.
that's offensive,
Okay. If
right?
you gain more resources, is that like a very warping comeback mechanic? Like that's nothing changes about the game except you. Oh, I shouldn't say nothing changes about the game. That's a bad. Don't-
No,
Yeah, you get
uh,
more access to roots in King of Fighters. You get your last arc in Melty. You get access to Red Blood Heat as well.
Wait, you can only use that when you're low on health. I thought you could use it
mean-
whenever you had 3 bars.
4 bars.
Oh, it's 4 bars. Oh shit. Oh,
Red
okay.
Red Heat is 4 bars.
Yeah, it has to be a red heat. You can actually trigger it by pressing all 4 buttons, and you get a very slow attack. And if you can combo into it in some circumstances, but it totally like prorates the super then. So it's really only useful for the last arc shield, the final heat
Oh.
shield.
That's the one where like you shield and if they hit you, they just get hit immediately.
Right, they get 4K, which is like a huge in Melty. That's like a big
It's
combo.
like fucking like 60% just because he hit them wrong.
Yeah. So that's like a pretty nice defensive one.
Oh, now that I mentioned King of Fighters, V Trigger in Street Fighter V is similar to like Pink Max mode in King of Fighters 15. Like you can just fish for a hit and then go Pink Max mode, and then like it like warps neutral, kind of. Right? If you guys
You'll have to explain that.
Quick max
Oh,
mode.
I know what you're saying. Like
It's basically V trigger activation.
the Roman cancel max mode.
Yeah. Like you hit like someone with a normal, and then you can like spend 2 bars to go into pink max mode. I think it's 2 bars, and you know, like if you just get a straight hit and then you go into pink max, they're kind of dead, right? Because supers don't cost meter anymore, and then like if you want to do a level 2 super, it costs 1 bar instead of 2 bars. So you can always get like in the simplest pink max combo, you can always just do a normal pink max, like normal level 1 super into level 2 super if you had 3 bars, right? And that would do like 70-60%, like just off a straight hit, which is basically V trigger. If you think about it, V trigger wouldn't. I don't think it does that much damage if you like do a V trigger combo, like V trigger activation combo.
Right. It probably depends on the. Wait, how much did you say it does?
The pink max, like 1
Yeah.
3 bar, probably like I'd
Like
say
what percentage?
60-70%.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. I think maybe if you get like a crush counter or whatever, but I don't. I think they actually nerfed that, so I'm not sure.
Maybe on Guile, and he got you in
Yeah.
the corner, and he's doing sonic boom loops.
Rose can do half health.
But but I think for most V triggers, the thing about it is that they like, you know, if you get a hit and you do V trigger or whatever, they usually leave you in a position where you can like continue the pressure, right, Justin? Or is that usually not the?
A lot of
Deal.
V trigger stuff is safe or is really good mix.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I switch from wired to Wi-Fi when I lose game 1. Is that
IRL comeback mechanic.
Do people have comeback mechanics?
Yeah. Just going back to character Lexern is a comeback mechanic because you're slowly.
True. You get a
You get access
counter
to-
pick. You get a
you get
counter
access to
pick.
more mix-ups, dude.
Well,
The 5-frame rollback or the 5-frame delay DBFC mix-up.
In tournament, that is technically a comeback mechanic because only the loser can do it. So that one I'll let you have.
that's a good point.
Yeah. You can't switch characters, even if it's not going well. Unless you
Counter
lose.
picking is a comeback mechanic. What on earth? I mean, it makes sense, right? But
Yes, for the losing player to.
Yeah.
Yeah. IRL comeback mechanics. Dude, comeback mechanics don't even have to exist in the game.
Shots to your opponent's combo and dude, what is this tech? What is this Eldritch tech?
spamming.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about like the IRL comeback mechanics. That's actually interesting. I didn't even think of that. Like, if it were truly a game that has like no comebacks, would it be like, oh, you're forced to stay the character you chose? Like,
Wait, what about that one fucking guy in that Smash tournament who like screamed?
oh, the Mike Hayes when he was getting hit by ices, bruh.
I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but in Street Fighter V, what's his name? Cabo was known for doing that. The DR Guile player.
To get them to drop the combo.
Yeah, but that's more actually because I think Mena RD was playing, so it's more like an assist than a.
That's not a comeback mechanic because those guys would do that whether you're winning or losing.
Oh man. Should losers be able to switch characters? That's
Yeah.
what is, yes.
Yeah,
Are
I
we saying
think so.
yes?
Yeah.
So
But it kind of but it kind of rewards them for playing more than one character. You know what I mean?
Exo Primal says the best comeback mechanic is spamming Steam screenshot during your opponent's combo on delay-based netcode. Technically, you can do that on winner's side too.
Oh,
So
not a
the
comeback mechanic.
hitbox
That's
is
true.
a comeback mechanic.
Hey, that's a good question. Are they're allowed to switch their controllers whenever they want, right? I don't think there's anything against that. Even if you want.
Oh, true.
Technically, that's not a comeback mechanic, cross-eyed.
Yeah,
but
you
that
can
would be
both do that.
hilarious, though. If they switched to like hitbox and then just like started mauling you.
Are there any games that like fucking need a comeback mechanic?
Ooh.
Like they're missing
That's a
it?
good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Uni because I'm always getting my ass kicked.
That game's just too deep. There's too many things going on.
Where's my burst, man? Where's my burst?
Yeah, please, give me something for getting your ass kicked, coming back.
They have the what is it? The infinite worth EXS that you can only do when you're at orange health.
Do you have to be like a scientist to use that? What the fuck is that?
I don't know, bro. It's
actually
an
never learned about
organic chemical compound. Man. fucking dimethyl infinite worth looking
Do we
at
have
it.
any Uni players here? I have no idea. Like,
There's like the comeback. It's like a last arc.
we should get like 3K or Karushi to come here. I'm sure they know something. They could.
I'm
speak
sure they would
about
not like comeback mechanics. They play the characters that maul you every interaction into leading into a knockdown into getting mauled even
They're
worse.
like, why are you allowed to block? You just have good movement.
Oh
I put
no!
down my web. I'm nice.
Oh no!
I think it's 3K. I get mauled every time though, so maybe there's a little bit against 3K.
Oh, there's a little slander on Uni players. Uni player slander right here. Holy crap!
What do you guys have anything that you feel like you're just getting killed? It'd be
Okay,
nice to have a little something in the field.
You know that question you asked earlier about what games need like a comeback mechanic? You see, I wouldn't even play those games. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't know. Like I just like not play them. You know what I'm saying?
But you might play them if you had a chance, you know.
Wait. Slightly off topic, but what's your favorite like tournament OS? You know, like the I don't even play this game type OS.
Oh,
Yeah,
my comeback OS to
Yeah,
my
your comeback
ego
OS.
boost, ego
Yeah.
comeback.
Mine is EGP's I don't even like this game.
The best one has to be I don't even own this game.
Is that a comeback mechanic when you like insult your opponent when you're losing to try to get in their head?
Psychological. I mean,
Yeah,
most people wouldn't do that when they're winning, so I guess technically.
I think so.
No,
Like-
no. When have you ever turned into a low tier god? Fucking stream.
Oh
Nope.
no. Oh
Yeah,
no.
I mean, like
You're
yesterday,
just
I
hiding
was,
behind a patch.
or 2 days ago, I was playing Palm Top, and he was kicking the shit out of me. And I just asked him if he was having fun, kind of saltily. And like, we kind of stopped after that. He could have beat me 100 times in a row, but he only got to beat me like 7 times in a row.
Oh,
So
because of your OS.
yeah, because of my OS. So what do you think about that?
Oh, are you having fun is a good one.
Oh, dude, that's like that psychological OS.
Nice guy, of course.
Yeah.
He was concerned that I wasn't having fun.
Dude, you should have
But-
used the other OS that everybody uses when they lose. See me and X other game that I play a lot and you play none of.
True,
Like, oh, yeah.
dude. CB
Oh, yeah.
and Sam show, dude. I'd say that, dude. I'd be like,
Justin, you should have been like, see me in Street Fighter 5, bro.
He might play that. No one plays.
Conta 2, Ultra Conta.
Fighting Layer EX, right? See me in Fighting Layer EX, bro.
see me in effects.
Fighting player. Yeah.
Not that I don't play the current patch though.
Oh,
so.
dude, fighting layer EX, like, this is off topic as well, but the momentum in that game is so janked. Like, you retain your dash momentum, right? So there's a lot of like movement combos where you like have to like keep the momentum from your dash into your moves. It's like makes me.
Oh, it's like Guilty Gear though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Guilty Gear has that? Like. I
Oh,
didn't
like
know
what?
that.
BRC, right? When you slide or whatever?
No. It's just like inherent with the movement. Like,
Yeah,
have
when
you
you're
ever
running,
tried fighting
you
EX layer?
You keep
I
your
tried it,
momentum.
but just very briefly.
Anything else on comeback mechanics or?
Oh, what are your guys' most hated comeback mechanics?
Ooh. It's probably gotta be for me. X Factor, even though I don't even play the game. Dude, just watching it makes me mauled, bruh. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, that I actually know like a little bit of tech around it, so that's the only reason I'm not choosing it. Otherwise, losing to X Factor fucking sucks.
Dude, every time I watch Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I'm like just like I don't know why I'm watching it, but it's just so interesting that I'm watching it, right? But it gets me angry. It gets me so angry. I'm like, dang, this person's like doing. Either I'm angry that they're winning with like some garbage that like is garbage, or they lose to like garbage, which would be like X Factor, like Virgil X Factor. Oh, he's got the happy birthday. Oh, it's over, and then there's like the incoming mix up.
He's
I'm
so
like,
good. Oh my god. What about you, Big Monkey? What's your most hated?
It's gotta be Tekken 7. Raid.
The raid.
Like you're beating on this dude, and then all of a sudden he launches you with his tracking I-13 plus 5 on block mid. that you can't do anything about. That
So
leads
you,
into the
specifically it's the
most
rage
damage
drive you don't like.
But also, like, if you get launched by a character who has low health and has access to Rage Art, you're also dead. It's like countless Geese combos or Akuma combos where they just, like, rail you into, like, Deadly Rave or something from 80% health and you're just gone. And the commentator's just like, whoa, that's so cool, while they're trying to hide their disappointment.
Oh no.
This is so cool. Please continue to hire us. What about you, Justin?
Oh,
What's your
just
most
on that commentator part, do you think they're like actually hype or like internally they're just
Okay,
like, bro?
like, when you execute and you finish the combo, it's really hype, right? But losing to that, dude.
Yeah, honestly, I do believe it's mostly genuine hype, just in general, not in Tekken in particular, because I personally don't watch a ton. But there's some stuff where they definitely kind of like, don't talk about it a lot or just don't really say what they're thinking, just because they want to get more gigs or
I
whatever.
see.
And on top of that, like getting more digs, they just don't want to be like a downer on like their community. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true.
There's already lots of that shit on Twitter, so why bother?
Like,
so what?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Or it's more engaging to call something hype than to call it cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
Switching to Maze Demon's drive between games to the comeback.
What about
Yeah,
you, Justin? What's your most hated comeback
For
mechanic?
me, it's not the entire V trigger system, but the ones that have it
The
where it's
robbery one.
overtuned. Yeah, the robbery V trigger.
Unbalanced V triggers.
Yeah, where some characters
one?
can suddenly do 80% or something. It's like a completely different game you're playing. It's not built for it. It doesn't
Yeah.
give you the tools to handle it. So
Yeah,
What
fair
character would you say
Reflector?
abuses it the worst? I'd say Urian.
Yeah.
I don't like. Was that plasma shield? What's it called? The Aegis shield?
Yeah, Aegis is really nasty. Like suddenly you have to eat these 50-50s, like 3 in a row. Balrogs is really nasty because like off any touch, he's already like a character that dominates neutral, but off any touch he can do all the damage.
What about Colin? Because can't she like freeze zero or whatever? Or do you think that one's pretty like tame?
No, she gets pretty good. Her she just gets like good frame data and stuff like that, and she's already
Nobody
kinda, like,
plays
dominant character.
Colleen. Nobody plays Colleen.
The
Yeah.
evil champ is Colin.
Yeah, the Evo champ.
Because she
evil
also
champ.
has like a full screen dash, right? Dash in the jab or whatever. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of fucked up.
Huh? Wait, what do you mean full screen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cammy
she's
gets
got,
a
like,
full
super
screen
fast.
punish.
She gets ice skates
V
basically.
trigger.
What?
Yeah, she becomes really fast. Cammy's the same thing. She gets a full screen punish on anything that
Shit.
into super that does tons of damage. She gets a couple of them. She can try twice if it doesn't work.
Wow.
Yeah, I really hate juries.
Which one? The first one or the second
VT1.
one?
VT1. 2 is a gimmick. I know you enjoy using it.
Because it's easy to use. It's like Ooga Booga. I just press it and
Yeah,
then
you
I
get the
get it's free. And also it steals their wake up super from them. So that's always
Huh?
good.
How dare
It
you?
steals meter and it gives you
How dare you,
meter.
sir.
So I get super.
All the characters I play have fair V-trigger mechanics.
Yes.
Fair and balanced.
The clone.
Okay.
Clone
Yeah,
V
Rose,
trigger.
fair and balanced VT2.
In
Yeah.
a more
Also fair and
general
Is
balanced.
that the Canadian one?
Yeah.
Okay, in a more general sense, what are your guys' favorite supers?
Supers? Like in what?
Yeah.
In
Which
like,
game?
Just supers.
Super
Any game.
Special and
Like,
Samsho is the
Super
best
as a-
mechanic
Oh,
in the
those
game.
are
In all fighting games.
As a comeback mechanic?
Wait,
kind of
like which-
thing, or-
Yeah, are you talking about a specific character super or which super system do we
Specific
like?
character super. Yeah, like,
Oh,
do you like Genajin?
I think an agent looks cool, and honestly, I'm like one of the few people that still gets hyped for it in Third Strike, just because everyone else is like getting their shit kicked out of them. But
I mean, in a way, Third Strike is kind of the comeback mechanic super game. Like, it's most believable there because it, like, when certain characters do get their super, it's a
Chun-
different game.
Yun.
Yeah.
It's suddenly a different game.
Yeah, yeah, I think probably every like OG Street Fighter 2 player would definitely agree with you on that one. But my super is probably Jetta's level 3 from Marvel Infinite. I know it's Marvel Infinite, but it just looks sick.
That game. Wait, so
I'll have something against that game, right?
I mean, I personally thought it was all right. Like, I went into the, I went in expecting a different game, but it just like didn't really hit for me, unfortunately. It
I
also didn't
heard
help.
the gameplay of that game is actually like really nice. It's just
Yeah, it's pretty like the hot tag system or whatever. I think it's like a pretty like natural kind of like evolution of it. But just things like no X-Men characters and stuff, and
Yeah.
they
Oh, the
like
characters as
characters
fun
looking ugly. Yeah, the function thing.
Well,
Um,
I feel like for like that series, it's like the licensing is probably like really hard and like
Yeah.
there's a bunch of clown stuff that's like not related to game development is going on there. So
What about you guys, Justin and Monkey? What's your guys' favorite super from, I guess, any game?
I mean, so this actually does feed into comeback mechanic. With Terumi, if I can activate OD and hit with Jabaku Fujin, which is his like two snakes grabbing you thing, then it does like 5k base damage, which is like in a game where a regular combo does 2k if you do all the hits. And then it also steals the other person's meter. And it goes on for like 7 minutes.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
really satisfying to hit with it.
So if it didn't steal meter, would you still consider that a comeback mechanic? Or a comeback super?
Only because of the interaction with OD. But it's better if you hit it later when they have meter, because then you can flip the table more. Whereas like if you hit it early, it doesn't really do
But what if they're like,
better than a regular super.
what if they're like 10% health and they're like 100, but they don't have any meter? You'll steal nothing, right? So
You get more of a chance to build meter for it just because it's Terumi, and you can build meter in OD using these jump loops. Only Terumi, like most other characters, this doesn't really apply. Like I can go from 0 to 100 if I activate OD and make you whiff something with Terumi, but I have to have a little bit of low health, so it has to be in a comeback state.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right, so comeback-ish. What about you, Big Monkey? What's your favorite super?
you're the
think-
one who asked the question.
What's your favorite rage art, Monkey?
I think Deadly Rave is my favorite rage art, to be honest. Still,
Which
It's
one is
sick,
that one?
he goes, "You loser," and then he kills you.
Ooh, go- yeah.
Is it second, or is that in
What's that?
KOF that he says that?
It's Geese's super.
Or both?
Yeah, it's in KO. It was originally in KOF. Like, I think it was his like boss super or something. I don't know, something like that.
No, I mean like the
But-
voice line that he. What is he?
Oh,
say?
I don't know. I think that's second only.
Oh, okay. Got
They
it.
hired some. They stayed true to the series. They hired some guy with like, not exactly a bad accent, but nothing he says makes sense.
Oh, damn.
But in terms of like 2D, I think the supers where they like change animations. I think Terumi, right? If you have more meter or they have more meter, it goes.
Yeah, it goes on longer.
And then he steps on you for like 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Or
Yeah,
Susanoo's, where if he has all of his unlocks, then he like hits you with all of his specials, like gamma beams you. I also think Genei is really cool. Just having like
I
a
think so too, actually.
install super that makes you into like a 50-50 juggernaut, and you have like these cool ass juggles that you can't do in normal mode. But as a result, you're kind of just running away the entire game.
Nice,
I
nice.
have a question for you guys. Is blocking a comeback mechanic? You are now. Think about it. Let me phrase my argument first before you decide whether you answer my question. Think about it. If you're in a defensive state in a fighting game, you don't want to be in defense, right? So you have to get to offense, and blocking is the thing that gets you from defense to offense, right? Right? You see what I'm doing? You see what I'm saying there?
I don't see it. I'm not seeing it.
Think about it like this. Like we don't like comeback mechanics, right? People also don't like blocking. It's just 1 and 1. It's the only reasonable conclusion. That
It depends on
blocking
the
is a
character,
comeback
though.
mechanic.
I don't know about that one. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but I don't really see where you're coming
Okay.
from.
If you're against like plus R. If you're against a puppet character and you're blocking, you're not coming back. You are losing.
Yeah, that's true. I think what you're saying, Joe, I kind of get where you're coming from, and that's probably kind of like the parry thing in Third Strike. But there's just too many situations where that's probably not the case.
Yeah, I was just memeing.
But no, yeah, for sure. Those are the existential questions we got to think about. I mean, I don't have to think about.
Is there a game that there is no blocking at all?
Multiverse.
Dive kick?
Makoto
okay.
Multiverse.
Multiverses.
Yeah.
Is there a
there's-
comeback mechanic in multiverses? There is none, right?
I don't
There's
think so.
no-
There's no
no,
rage.
not
So
really.
yeah, there you guys go. If you guys don't want comeback mechanics, play multiverse.
Multiverse.
Yeah, there really is no comeback mechanics.
But you can
Yeah.
block and smash. You can shield and smash. That's
Yeah, but what
yeah.
Smash.
Smash
Boardman.
has rage, so
That's what Boardman said. Yeah.
Boardman, we're talking about multiverses, not Smash. You were talking about Smash.
yeah.
Now go take a
true.
shower.
Smash lives rent free in Boardman's head.
Also, I don't know if any of you guys have played Kotsky Blitzkampf, but I've heard that the game doesn't have blocking, only parrying.
Right?
Ooh.
Or am I,
I
did I miss?
blocked in that.
Did I miss?
I didn't know that.
Okay, then.
I did not know that.
I think I'm thinking of something else then.
I haven't
Rivals.
played
Oh,
Kotsky
I think I was thinking of Rivals. Yeah, Mr. EGP.
Rivals of the
Why
Aether?
weren't you
Yeah,
blocking
you can
my
only
thing?
parry in that game. You can't block.
Oh. What's like the parry button? Is it like
I've never played it. I couldn't tell you. But I'm sure it's just like Smash where it's a button and you just.
it's like the same button, like same attack button? Maybe.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
That'd
but-
be like Killer Instinct then, right? With like the
combo breaker.
the combo breaker.
Combo breaker.
Oh.
Not really, because in KI you have to already be getting hit to combo break. And where in Rivals it sounds like you can parry it before it hits you.
But is combo breaker a comeback mechanic?
No, because you can access to it like whenever you want.
You
But
can't do it
Well,
whenever
actually,
you want. You
combo,
can only do it
right,
when you're
right.
losing.
It's kind of a comeback mechanic, like how parry I guess is a comeback mechanic, because you can't parry like whenever you.
But the parrying
Oh.
you like aren't in a losing state yet. In like with KI you are in a losing state because you got hit, right? Versus parrying like. I guess you had your blocking.
I guess so. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, by that argument, you could say wake up DP is a comeback mechanic because you're already in losing state of
Yeah,
being
it would be. Yeah, Wake Up DP would be a comeback mechanic.
No, it's
I
not
don't-
though.
Well, not everybody has Wake Up DP though. So like some people
yeah,
lose
but-
out. On,
But you
like-
have it as if you're winning the entire game too.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right, yeah. You could be like, if you take like a small 3-8 combo in KI and it does like 10%, it's not really. And you guys are both at like pretty large health, and that's not really a comeback mechanic. Although I do agree that it is kind of a comeback mechanic, but not just like, such a cut and dry one. And also there's counterplay to that too. So there's like counter combo breaker. So there's like
How does that work? How does that work?
So, if I'm comboing somebody and then I know they're about to break, like in the next hit, I can do what's called a counter breaker, which is like a defensive stance. And if they try to combo break, then they get locked out, and you can combo them for like 2 seconds or something. But if they don't combo break and you kind of take that defensive stance, then your combo ends, and then you're open to taking hits. So I guess that would be like the counter comeback mechanic, but I think that one's a little not as cut and dry as like sparking or X Factor stuff. That kind of goes in with like parry, where like technically it is, but it's not so like flagrant.
Counterbreaker is one of the most hype things to see, though.
Yeah, dude, I love doing counter.
It's like if you're
Oh,
gauging how hype something is, you gotta ask yourself if Zen Ryoka would go for it.
hey, let me ask you guys something. I don't know if you guys play like other games like FPSs and stuff, but do you guys see comeback mechanics in those, or if you guys play like Dota or League or whatever?
Okay, so in League, I could talk about League. But
No, not the
Listen-
objective bounties.
I don't know anything about it. So.
Don't talk about those like legitimate.
Okay, let's
In
not talk about
RTSs,
League.
in RTSs, if you're behind in resources, even 1% of 5 minutes, you're gonna lose. It's over. You fucking lost, you idiot.
True. Get better APMs, bro.
Yeah. Work on your build.
Okay.
So would you guys? All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. You go.
Oh, I was gonna say is I guess since I think if we get too into like League or whatever, it might kind of take up a ton of time. But I really don't play a whole ton of other games. I play like Doom and like other like normie stuff. But do you guys think comeback mechanics are more prevalent like in fighting games?
Definitely.
No, I disagree. I think no. It's prevalent in other games too. Like for FPSs, like the invincibility when you like respawn, like that exists, and that is definitely a comeback mechanic. Like
I don't think so.
I do think so.
That's an anti-trolling mechanic. It's not.
No, I see that as being a comeback mechanic.
That's not something you can use strategically to win.
Like there are FPSs without like invincibility, and then like if you lose, you just lose, right? They just shoot you, and you deserve that loss. You lost first, and you're gonna lose again until they miss, right?
If you need spawn protection, you lost.
Exactly. No, but facts.
It doesn't matter if there's spawn
protection. Okay, think about you're playing a fighting game,
anything.
right? You're playing a fighting game. You get knocked down. That's literally like no invincibility, right? You get what I'm saying?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Like if you get knocked down in a fighting game, like in Samurai Showdown, you have throw invincibility. Like when you get up normally, right? That's exactly like spawn invincibility, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if Sam Show didn't have any throw invincibility. You just get like, oh my goodness, it'd be horrible, right?
Yeah. Third Strike actually also has that, and I think probably a lot of other games.
You're saying being safe on the ground is a comeback mechanic.
No, I'm saying when you get up, like when you're respawning in like shooting games and you're invincible, that is a comeback mechanic because you're given an opportunity for offense with no repercussion, basically.
Basically, the enemy is never near you, though.
At what point does it become a anti-snowballing mechanic?
Oh, that's a good.
Opposed to a comeback mechanic.
I feel like it would probably mean something very, very similar. I can't think of any example where
It's like.
Oh, actually, no. I guess like falling out of combos in MVC2 and Skullgirls, after a certain number of hits, you just fall out.
That's an anti-snowball. It's because it's like it stops momentum instead of reversing it.
Infinity protection is not a comeback mechanic.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's anti-snowball, but it's not comeback.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing anti-snowball in Skullgirls.
Maybe not for you.
I've played it.
The anti-snowball mechanic is the other person dropping the combo.
Bro, I'm a Skullgirls legend. I trained under Jub. He taught me the art of the spam. Oh, I guess combo scaling. Yeah, I guess that's kind of.
I disagree. No, I wouldn't say that's
not.
I wouldn't say it's a comeback mechanic, but I think anti-snowball. I think
unless the context of that is the person who's better at you in the game versus you, and the comeback mechanic is you can at least do 60% by matching A in Melty Blood compared to their 100% combo that they had to train for 100 hours to do, or 10 or whatever.
I think an anti-snowball thing in fighting games would be anything that resets to like neutral, like complete neutral. Because like even in the case where you fall out of a combo, right? Just because you fall out of the combo doesn't mean you're like it's suddenly anti-snowball. Like you can I'm sure there's like some lab monster out there who's like labbed something where like once you fall out of the combo you get hit with like some mix-up or some garbage.
Yeah, I think in high level Marvel 2 that's definitely a thing. Like they know, and even in Marvel 3 I've seen it, but it's not as common just because in Marvel 3 if you're optimized then they're just dead. But sometimes that's on purpose. They drop it and then they go for like a throw or like a left right or high low or whatever. I was reading what Big Monkey was saying. What do you guys think about Goldburst? Because you get the most benefit from it when you don't have any meter. So you get like full meter if it hits.
Ooh.
Who do you think gives up their only defensive mechanic? Yeah, it's the guy who's winning.
I don't know, man. Have you ever seen Life Jam play? The guy's nuts. He will run up Goldburst and then he will just be winning the entire time.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a comeback mechanic to me.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it's just interesting because you get the most benefit, obviously, when you're low on meter, not life.
But so is being low on meter like? Do you like come? Oh, I guess you do. I suppose.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Actually, now that you mentioned, because you're low on meter doesn't necessarily mean you're losing. I mean, you could have like burned it all, and then now they're like at half health.
And then you do cold burst on their wake up. Wow.
Yeah, and then you can snowball from there. But yeah, I don't think I would consider that a comeback mechanic. At least not like a so cut and dry one.
Oh, you know that gives. I'm gonna add that to our list of topics. Anti-snowballing. Like, would it be the same conversation?
It would
As
be
we're
very
having?
similar, but it would be more so like probably things that just don't like break the game. I think it's probably the only example I can think of. Like falling out of infinites and stuff, and yeah, not really sure.
You know, I think Karushi would. Actually, if Karushi was here and we were talking about like the FPS, the comeback mechanics, I think does CS:GO have anything similar? No.
I'm
I
trying
don't-
to think of it.
I
I
don't play
can't think
CS.
of anything. Really, you get hurt because you get fucked over by money when you're losing.
Yeah, but if you're losing and you kill the other team, you get to steal their guns. So is that a comeback mechanic at that point? Because then you get so much. You don't have to buy the guns yourself, right?
Yeah, so if you're getting
I mean,
off
I
the
don't-
helmet back and you get a team wipe, you all get
that's more
free off.
snowballing though, right? Because you won the interaction, so you're getting rewarded for it, like by taking their gun, right?
Yeah, but that'd be like.
It's
Oh,
something
I guess,
they
yeah.
can't
You
do
want an
because
interaction first, right? Before
Right.
they
you
can't
got
do it,
the
but they also
reward.
don't need to do it because by definition they already had the good gun if they were able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, and it's
Oh.
like.
It's kind of there softly though.
Yeah.
The fact that guns drop and you can pick them up does give you some ability to take your pistol out and hope for a change of events.
Huh. Oh, and I was talking to Kurushi about this, but some of like the arcade mode comeback mechanics that I've seen is just like in KOF where uh I think you can like if you're at the boss, or I think if you're anywhere and you continue like what is it, 2 or 3 times or whatever, you can start off with like either full bar or like the opponent has a third less health or something like that. Do you guys know of any more examples like that?
Oh, we can have a whole discussion on single player comeback mechanics. Holy
Oh,
crap.
I honestly I can't think of any other ones other than
Oh,
that.
really? So,
Yeah.
like, there's some puzzle games where if you can't do the puzzle or like you die too many times, it just straight up like does the like.
Oh.
It gives you hints, or just straight up does the puzzle, right? Or gives
Yeah,
you in Kirby games. I believe if you or is it Kirby games? And like in one of the, it's like some platformer, right? If you keep dying to the level, they give you like invincibility, or they'll give you a power up, you know, to like
Right,
help you beat
that's
the
true.
level. And I feel like in single player games, like the comeback, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like comeback necessarily, but like if you die too many, like no single player developer wants you to like constantly die over and over to a single
Right.
enemy unless they're like from software, right? So there's just like inherent things they do, like if you get stuck somewhere. Usually, like in the newer games at least. The old games
Right.
couldn't give care less if you got stuck, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they
you
just
get
pick
stuck.
orders.
Yeah. But in the newer games, I feel like you'd be hard pressed to not find like comeback mechanics with quotes.
And especially like pay to win stuff. It's not. I guess it's not technically a comeback because you can do it whenever, but you can use it to just like skip around
Yeah.
or like get an advantage or whatever.
Well, I'm out of ideas, so if you guys.
Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say. Oh, actually, I guess another question that I think we all mentioned like our favorite and our like most hated. What game do you guys think does like quote comeback mechanics like well?
Samurai Showdown, no bias, obviously. I'm an unbiased, objective answer person. I think Samurai Showdown is the best fighting game ever, and everything about it is perfect.
I think Grand Blue
Netcode.
has a meter that basically just fills as the round goes on. So it's kind of like an extra option that's turning on at the end. That gives you like the ability to like turn the situation around.
Are you talking about like the two supers that it has?
Yeah.
Like a super, you have a super when you're not losing, or not losing as bad, and then a super when you're losing badly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that's pretty neat. So you basically have the same options, but just a little more, got a little more mustard on it when you're low in health.
Ooh, I wouldn't say the same options, because the supers can be like radically different. For,
Oh,
like,
are they?
yeah, for Lo Wayne, which is like my main in that game. Like his weaker super is he like gets his bros and like he gets like new movelet. He's like full armor, and then in his super like his low health super, he becomes you can't even hit him. Like oh wait no, you can hit him. You can die while you're doing that, I think. But like you get unblockables, like a vacuum suction hits.
Is that like the giant fairy lady or whatever?
Yeah, it's the giant fairy lady. Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind then.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess in general, it's just a better version, right? Or usually, I would imagine.
Yeah, it usually does more damage. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, I think Lowain's just like an exception. I think everyone else has like just a more damaging super, or maybe like some different hitbox that comes out initially.
Yeah, so that one's kind of mild. It changes things up a little bit, but it's nice, in my mind.
Gotcha. For me, it should come as no surprise to you guys, but it's Street Fighter 4. Just because the ultras you can build with like focus attack, which granted, if you try to do it too much, they can punish you for it. And also, most ultras like, unless you're like get hit by Wake Up Ultra, in which case most like top level players or even mid level players, they'll safe jump stuff like that. So you kind of still have to work to land it.
Yeah, it's not free damage. For sure.
Yeah, so I think that's like a good good thing about it. And also like it's not like just there is a point in time where if you lose enough health or great damage, it just activates. But if you use it like early, then it doesn't do as much damage as if it did if you use it like when you're kind of like pixels from death.
I think that's kind of cool though, is you also get access to it early. It's not like Awakening or whatever, where it's like only the person who's about to lose can suddenly flip the table. Like you both might have it in a match. Very often.
Right, yeah.
Because usually around 50% health or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's exactly 50%. So yeah, that one's my favorite. I know a lot of like the Third Strike players were like, man, you only won because of Ultra. Like you got hit by it, dude, not me. It's not. That sounds like a personal problem.
Skill issue.
Skill issue, yeah. Go keep using Chun and mash heavy punch.
What about you, Big Monkey? What's your game?
Favorite comeback mechanic?
I think it was like the best, like most balanced, or what?
I like
the
ones.
A game that you like that you think did it well, and like if they made another game like that, you wouldn't mind or whatever.
I like Valorant's comeback mechanic.
What are Valorant's comeback mechanics? I don't know.
If you're on a losing streak, you get more money every round. Simple as that.
Oh.
Simple.
Cool.
You benefit from it, and the enemy team can't use it against you.
And it requires skill to actually benefit from it, right?
Exactly.
Well, but I mean, is it really a comeback mechanic? Because like you can't really use it that same round, right? You just get the money, and then like the following round you can. Oh, actually, I don't know how that
every
works.
round you get money, and if you're on a losing streak, you just get more.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. I think that's pretty neat.
So it's like CS:GO, but you don't have to save. Save. You don't need save.
People still save in Valorant, but like, you don't get like cucked as hard for losing.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. That sounds like it's a little more in the wheelhouse of Anti-Snowball. Just the snowball being like the losing streak, which would definitely be me if I played any FPS because I fucking suck.
True. Yeah, I think there should be an FPS without any cursor. So aim can't, like, you just can't aim.
Yeah, it's not fair. Where these guys who like grew up on a mouse can like be better than me at FPS. Games are too hard.
Oh, wait.
I think we were gonna talk about League at some point, but League's comeback mechanic is.
Let's not talk about League today.
Okay.
Like, we can talk about League when we talk about Project L.
Oh yeah. And
Okay, we can like talk about it, like kind of.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about
All right, I'm gonna bail.
it. All right, see you.
GG's, Leaguers.
yeah, I don't know anything about League, but I'll stick around for a bit.
I mean, it's just like it's kind of simple. It's like the new season of the game dropped, and they added these things called objective bounties. And if you're losing, and if you get objectives, then you get more money. It's like not tastefully done.
Yeah, I would. it didn't need the like. I don't feel like the game needed it, but I'm a bronze 5 player, so what do I know?
Yeah, it's like when you pick Scion, it's really fun, right? But obviously, not everyone plays fucking 0 and 12 victory looking ass character.
Oh, wait. One more question before we finish off that I was just reminded of. Do you think comeback mechanics should be like universal? Like it should always be like a universal type thing. Like there shouldn't be like any like unique character specific like comeback mechanics or some.
So do you mean like it? So in Dragon Ball, 3K was just talking about in the chat. There is technically 3. There's Sparking, which is like the X Factor one, and there's another one called I forget what it's called, but you basically just your anchor character. If he's by himself, he gets like a specific damage boost. So are you talking about stuff like that where, you know, as opposed to Sparking, where somebody could have like a super like damaging saucy Sparky combo?
Like you're talking about like Marvel versus Capcom, where Hulk gets like 100%
Right,
and
yeah.
speed. Like
So do you mean everybody should get like 50-50 is what you're asking?
or it should just be like constant rather than like variable depending on like what character you have.
I personally would prefer it if it was kind of different. I mean, you know, I don't think it should make the character like super busted or whatever, but you know, enough to I guess give you hope. But I think it should be different just so that they can leave it open for like characters to benefit from it properly.
Ah, I see.
That would be my only argument.
Like
Otherwise,
more nuance, right, or something like that.
yeah, you know, like if you're playing a zoner, maybe like your fireballs are a little bigger or whatever. Whereas like, you know, if you're like a rushdown, bigger fireballs aren't going to do you nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird example, but yeah, I would prefer it to be kind of variable so they can kind of tune it to the character.
That does make sense.
I just feel like there's like severe balancing issues. Like when you brought up like ultras in Street Fighter 4, I'm sure like ultras weren't like beneficial like or like severely like impactful for like every character.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some ultras characters that had better ultras than others, and also some ultras were like very specific to a matchup, so they like essentially didn't have one like quote unquote.
Yeah, so like you get into like balancing issues, but I guess that's like the trade-off for uniqueness. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that my hope would be that they make it so that they can balance it a little bit better. Like I know in Street Fighter 5, even though Sayano just left, they balance it by changing the number of like V bars you need to activate it.
Yeah, true.
So I think if you leave variability open to stuff like that, then I would be I would prefer that rather than just kind of like if all of them you know cost
the
like
same thing. Or something,
yeah, exactly.
Big Monkey, any thoughts before we close off for today?
I
variability and our constancy and comeback mechanic.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh, you cut out.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, Big Monkey, he's gone.
All right, I get that's a sign that we've been here too long. All right. Should I wait for him to come back? What do you think?
Oh no, I think his Big
My
Monkey.
mic broke something.
All right.
I was saying I think it's cool, but it's like up to the developers to balance it. So if it's not done well, then I don't like it.
I see. So if it's done well, it's done well. If it's done garbage, it's garbage. Yeah. Facts. All right, I'm gonna call it now. Ending stream. Don't play fighting games, everyone. Fighting games are garbage. That's why.
Yeah. don't even bother trying to win. You're just gonna get comebacked on. So
Yeah, true.
just rage quit. It's the only way to win.